So today, we're jumping into a really fascinating idea from David Robson's book, The Intelligence Trap. It's all about this paradox. Why being super smart, having the best grades, a crazy high IQ, why that doesn't just automatically mean you're going to be successful. In fact, sometimes it can actually hold you back. Look, if you're a student, I get it. You've probably spent your entire life focused on getting top marks, thinking that a perfect GPA is your golden ticket to that dream career. But what if I told you that being book smart can actually set a trap for you? Let's get into why the skills that make you ace a test aren't always the same ones that help you succeed in the real world. For as long as we can remember, we've been told it's a simple equation, right? A high IQ leads straight to success. A nice, clean line. But what we're finding out is that the line is anything but straight. It's actually pretty messy. It breaks, it twists, and a lot of the time, it just ends with a giant question mark. So what are we missing here? All right, so let's start by just tearing down this myth that being super intelligent guarantees you're going to have a great career. And the best way to do that is to look at this huge landmark study that put this exact idea under the microscope. So back in the 1920s, a psychologist named Louis Terman found over 1,000 kids with incredibly high IQs. He gave them a nickname, the termites, and he started what turned into one of the longest studies ever, following them for their entire lives, all to prove one simple theory. And I mean, these kids were unbelievably brilliant. Some of them, like two girls in the study named Sarah Ann and Beatrice, had IQ scores of 192. Just so you know, anything over 140 is already considered genius level. So these kids, they were on a whole different planet. Terman's whole idea, and this belief shaped education for decades, was that all this raw brain power would just naturally lead to amazing careers, tons of money, big achievements, and really important, wise decisions. He was convinced he was tracking the future leaders of the world. But here's the big catch. The way these tests even defined intelligence was super narrow. Sure, they were great at measuring abstract thinking, but they completely ignored all these other qualities that are absolutely essential for your career. Stuff that doesn't really show up on a transcript, like creativity, common sense problem solving, and just being able to work with other people. So how on earth can being smart actually backfire? This is what the book calls the intelligence trap, and it shows up in a few key ways that are really important to get your head around, especially as you're planning out your future. Okay, first up, there's this wild concept called dysrationalia, and it's basically this. Having a high IQ gives you absolutely zero defense against making bad, irrational decisions. Smart people are just as prone to biases, and sometimes even more so, because they're really good at coming up with complicated-sounding reasons to justify their own bad ideas. Then there's something called the curse of knowledge. The more of an expert you become in your field, whether it's coding, medicine, you name it, the more that deep knowledge can actually become a weakness. It can make you overconfident, less willing to hear out other ideas, and more likely to miss a simple flaw that someone with fresh eyes might see right away. I mean, look at the case of Brandon Mayfield. You had a bunch of highly trained, expert FBI analysts who all agreed they'd matched his fingerprint to one from a bomb scene. But they were dead wrong. Their expertise and their confidence in each other led them down the completely wrong path, and it had huge consequences. It's just a powerful reminder that being an expert doesn't mean you're always right. So if just being smart isn't the answer, then what is? Well, the key isn't just about being smart, it's about being wise. And to really see the difference, let's go back to that story about the termites. Remember this number, the off-the-charts IQ of Terman's brightest kids? The whole world was expecting them to do incredible things. But that's just not what happened for a lot of them. Sure, some did fine, but a really surprising number of these geniuses ended up in pretty average jobs, living pretty average lives. That genius-level IQ was no guarantee of an extraordinary life. Now, check out this number, 125. This was the IQ of a physicist named Richard Feynman. Now, don't get me wrong, 125 is a great score, way above average, but it's nowhere near 192. By Terman standards, Feynman wasn't in that top tier. And what did Richard Feynman do with that modest IQ of 125? Oh, just won a Nobel Prize in physics and completely changed how we see the universe. So what did Feynman have that so many of the super genius termites were missing? It wasn't about the number. at all. It was his whole approach to life. Feynman had this relentless curiosity. He was always asking questions. He had a growth mindset, which just means he always believed there was more to learn. He loved to get his hands dirty and try things out, and he just never, ever stopped learning. Those are qualities, not test scores. So how can you avoid this intelligence trap and be a little more like Feynman? Let's make this super practical. Here are a couple of tools you can actually start using right now as you're making those big decisions about school and your career. Okay, when you're facing a huge decision, like picking a major or which job to take, try something Benjamin Franklin called moral algebra. Don't just trust your gut. Literally, take out a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle for pros and cons, and then spend a few days writing everything down. This forces you to slow down and think past your initial biases, and it almost always leads to a wiser choice. And maybe the most important thing of all, actively work on being more curious. Seriously, studies show that curiosity is a way better predictor of success than IQ. So ask that extra question in class. Pick up a book about something you know nothing about. Challenge your own assumptions. Start focusing on the love of learning, not just the pressure of getting a good grade. That, right there, is your real superpower. So let's end on this thought. Getting into a good school, acing your exams, you've already proven you're smart. That part's done. But that's just the ticket to the game. The real challenge, the thing that will actually define your career and your life, is answering this next question. How are you going to prove you're wise?